Spotify is a little bit like factory farming. On the one hand, through the platform, more musicians than ever before can publish their music to a global audience. But they are also used as cash cows by the streaming service. Artists earn very little from streaming. But apart from that, does Spotify have an impact on music in general? And is the platform really a win for users? Music streaming is big business, with Spotify reporting a turnover of 7.9 billion euros in 2020 from over 356 million monthly listeners, consuming more than 70 million songs. Sounds amazing for users. But not all musicians are fans. Tom Gray, a singer and songwriter from the British band Gomez, started the Broken Record campaign during the pandemic, which warns about the effect Spotify has on music. He feels very strongly about it.
Recorded music has essentially been revalued down to the value of nothing, right? Recorded music has become something that's playing in the background, that's playing on a playlist that is instantly available to you in its totality, right? And that's what streaming has done to music. And it was a small but reliable source of income that is basically gone.
Whereas previously, artists could charge as much as $20 an album, Spotify only pays around half a cent per stream per track, which is counted as anything over 30 seconds. So if you listen to a 20-track album, that's still less than 1 cent. And the record label usually receives a lot of that. So, to state the obvious, most artists can't live from streaming. Spotify also hasn't raised prices in years, which means songs themselves are now worth 25% less than when they started, due to inflation. Tom Gray thinks this affects the most important thing, the music itself.
Spotify at the moment disincentivizes the kind of cultural artistry in music that most of us want. And it is the reason why we get excited about music in the first place.
How does it do that?
People who do well in Spotify are the people who kind of, I won't use the word spam, produce kind of production music to go into playlists. They're not really interested in the sort of artistry of music. What they're actually interested in doing is producing as much music as possible in order to go on like sleep playlists or Sunday acoustic or something like that.
People listen to background music for long periods of time, so the producers of that music get a large amount of streaming revenue, which doesn't go to bands or singers. It has also arguably meant that people do not put as much effort into albums anymore, or that they include large numbers of tracks, because they get paid for each song streamed rather than per release. Is that why US rappers Migos released an album with a whopping 24 songs? While quality of the music is subjective, one thing that has definitely changed is the song's length. The average length of songs has reduced by more than 30 seconds in the past 18 years. Critics also claim that artists are less likely to take risks because the profit margins involved in music are so low that they cannot afford it, making music in general more bland and repetitive, with artists recreating their earlier hits. Spotify has also been accused of creating fake bands and producers to game its own algorithm and make money back for themselves, as well as taking money from labels for promotion on popular playlists. Spotify denies this, but journalists found artists with no real life or social media presence performing very well on these playlists. But it's not only user subscription Spotify makes money from. Some argue that this is not a music company at all, but a tech company. Spotify puts a lot of time and money into researching algorithms about what music to recommend to users. Sounds good, right? Well, some argue that this goes too far in gathering user data and selling it to advertisers. Musician Evan Greer runs the Fight for the Future campaign and just released an album called Spotify is Surveillance. Their single Surveillance Capitalism takes aim at big data and streaming services.
They're doing targeted advertising, so they're trying to infer things about you from the music that you listen to, from data that they collect from your activity on their platform, as well as potentially other platforms. And then they're using that to serve you advertisements. But again, it's really important to just recognize that the type of data that Spotify is collecting is deeply personal. The music that you put on to play can tell them a lot about you. It could tell them how you're feeling. It could tell them whether you're at a gathering with other people.
And there is more. In early 2021, another invention by Spotify's research labs raised eyebrows among privacy activists.
they had filed a patent to use not just voice activation, but essentially voice recognition surveillance software to listen to your conversations, infer things about who you are, your emotions. They even claim to be able to recommend music based on inferring your gender or listening to your accent and inferring where you might be from, and then use that to recommend music and ads.
After plenty of campaigning from Fight for the Future, Spotify said they didn't have any plans to use it. Yet. But they haven't guaranteed not using it in the future. And with Spotify podcasts and now even music podcasts, radio stations are worried that Spotify is disrupting their industry. So, would this stop you from using Spotify? Or do you think musicians' lifestyles are not your problem? Should Spotify raise their streaming price? Let us know in the comments.